All right. Robert, good morning.
Good morning, John. How are you?
Man, I'm incredible. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I thought you were going to look at the camera.
Yeah, right? We got to do that.
I was like, why are you looking at me? Look at the camera.
Yeah, hey, yeah, that's okay.
Oh, I know you can't get enough of this, but man, look at the camera.
You got that rich tan from Hawaii, you know what I'm saying?
Rich tan? I don't got no tan.
Yeah, oh, that's right. You're just, Hispanic.
Yeah, this is going in the clip.
Can someone please take this Italian and go take him into the back and show him what an Italian stallion looks like?
Oh, come on, I know. Ask my wife. Anyway, that's still going on the recording. We're just gonna get so mad at me. Aaron.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. Well, good morning. Hey, good morning. Welcome to Unleash Your Potential. My name is John Brucato. Yes, I am the real host, and my co-host, Robert Avitia, is the real co-host. This is just us. And listen, we're back. Yeah, we're back in the studio, back in the office. Robert was just away for like 2 weeks, man. He was living it up in Hawaii. Robert, how's Hawaii?
Hawaii is unbelievable, like always. I mean, you go there, it's an experience. And it's always a different experience every time you go. There's never enough time to get everything done. But what I will tell you is this time we went up into the mountains and did an ATV tour where we went up into the mountains and kind of, went through some water, some terrain. We came out very dusty and dirty. But what I loved about it was the fact that it was a team building moment. We got to be able to know people on the surface level, who they really are.
Yeah.
And it just builds those memories that when things get hard, maybe not next week or next month or next year, but 3 years from now, 5 years from now, or maybe we go back and visit Hawaii again and go, remember when?
Right.
And it's those memories right there that are concreted into our minds to always keep us smiling and keep going for something, especially when we're challenged in life, which is something that we always have.
Yeah, and talking about a challenge, man. So you were living up in Hawaii. I was sick all week last week, so I wasn't riding an ATV. I was in front of a TV, right? No. Yeah, and it's being a new father. It's funny. I didn't realize how that worked, right? Somebody in the house gets sick. So Erin being a teacher, she's around kids all day long. So Erin got sick, and then she gave that to Gianna. Who then gave that to me, and then I gave that to Aaron, who gave it to. It was just a big, cycle of sickness, right? And when you're like coughing up a lung and you're there, you've got a lot of time to do some reflecting, and it's interesting, keeping things going and keeping the business moving, keeping family stuff afloat, chores, all those things while you're sick. So you could be living your best life in Hawaii or recovering so you can live your best life on the couch. But either way, man, it's always, things are always moving, and that's really the topic I wanted to talk about today. Is about always running. You see, I believe that at least in American society, like we have this thing where we're always running. Like I have family that's in Italy, and I have friends that are in Europe, and they talk about how like people here in the U.S. we're always moving, we're always running. And I don't know, I was thinking about this like on the drive here today, and we're going to talk about something else, but I just totally thought it made sense for us to discuss this. I think there's two kinds of people, right? There's people that are running away from a problem, or there's people that run towards solutions, and with us both being in business, Robert, I think we've seen both of those. I think we've been both of those people at one point, and I think it all falls back on programming. What do you think about that?
So you're 100% correct, but what it is this. We do things for two reasons. One, to avoid pain,
right,
and the other one, to find pleasure.
Right.
And most people are designed and programmed and conditioned to not move until it's too painful that they have to move.
Right.
That if they don't move, the pain becomes unbearable.
Yeah.
It's kind of like this. I'm not going to go make money until I have to pay a bill or they're going to disconnect my light. Then it's painful enough to where you go find a way to make money.
Right.
And it's seen every day. But those successful people, they don't wait for the pain. What it is, the pain for them is not accomplishing what they want.
Yeah.
So they're always going after what they need to be able to help get what it is that they so long for.
Yeah, and the funniest part about that, though, is that those people that have success and those people that don't, they all have different life experiences that shape who they become, right? It's like we're gonna keep going with this, but I don't know how you feel about this, but it's like it's not about the what or the where, it's about the who and the why. I was thinking about it today. It's like it's really about who you choose to become and why you want to become that person, not what you do or where you are. Because when you become the right person and you know why you're becoming that person, you're going to do the right things, right? So it's really about why and who, versus what, or where, right?
So, how could I state this in a way that's not going to...
Just say it. There's no filters here.
I know there's no filters, but there's a way to say it to be able to communicate it effectively.
Yeah.
Okay? At the end of the day, it's this. Why do you live every day? What is it you're going after? What do you want? Why do you want it? And how bad do you want it?
Right.
And a lot of times what happens is we live life without knowing why until it's too late. But if you truly have a clear, concise mental picture of what it is you want and why you want it, it's a funny little thing. The mind always finds a way to go get it. And you have to remind yourself daily, because I tell you what, we go through something every day.
Yeah.
Phone calls. We're busy. It's the end of the month. That's okay.
That's funny.
We go through something called life that's very tough on us. And it's going to throw curveballs at us. And it's how we respond to those curveballs that are going to determine our success. And so what happens is this. If we don't have a clear picture of what it is that we're chasing, what it is that we want, and why we want it, we can get taken off that path very easily.
Right.
But when we know exactly what it is that we want and why we want it, what happens is it doesn't matter what obstacle gets in front of us, we will overcome it. And I'll bring you back to this.
Yeah.
How many of y'all as a child wanted something very badly that you asked your parents for and they said no?
Oh, I do that all the time. I try to sneak it in the cart sometimes, and my dad would be like, "Hey, you can't pull a fast one on me." My mom would just buy it for me. My dad was like, "Hell no, you ain't doing that."
For some of y'all, maybe a pair of Jordans.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Maybe a nice outfit. Maybe a video game. Maybe a PlayStation, or back in our time, a Nintendo.
Yeah. Or an Android. I had to sneak that one in, right? I had to sneak that in.
Okay? But you think about it, when we were so focused on what it is that we wanted, we found a way to get it. Maybe cutting yards, selling something, garage sales. We found a way, saving our lunch money instead of spending it. Mm-hmm. We found a way. Why? Because we wanted it very badly. It didn't matter what obstacle we went through or what obstacle came at us. We found a way to overcome it. And life is the same way. See, my question to you is, what and why do you want it?
Yeah, and you know what, Robert? I also believe that when people are running from a problem, it's a lot of times it's a lack of confidence, in who they are or who they're becoming, or maybe they're not clear on what they want and why they want it, right? Like for example, and I notice this even about myself, right? And I'm sure you've seen this in people, right? With the way you coach people, some people might be a solution finder in one area of their life, but they run from problems in other areas of their life, right? They might feel extremely confident in their marriage, and they know who they are as a husband or a wife, and they know who they are as a spouse and why they are that way. And so whenever there's a problem that pops up in their marriage or their relationships, they focus on the solution immediately. But on the flip side of that, maybe they've been wounded at their job, or maybe they have a history of layoff after layoff after layoff, and maybe they've had bosses that have abused them or used them, and so they feel no confidence in they have no idea who they are as a contributor to the workforce. And so when their problem pops up at their job, they run from those problems and they avoid those problems, right? So it's the same person, but because they have different programming from different areas of their life, they respond differently. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, everyone's going to respond differently, but a lot of it has to do based on what it is that we're taught when they grew up. I think one of the downfalls of our school system today is they give you F's and all of a sudden you're a failure. Yeah. When in reality, failure is not a bad thing. Failure means that you tried, okay, or you attempted, and it wasn't a successful attempt. And so what you have to do is you have to do it again. And that creates a conditioning that throughout life is, well, if I don't know it, I ain't going to do it because I don't want to fail.
Right.
And in reality, that's false. You have to fail in order to succeed. The opposite of success is not failure, it's not moving.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's big.
Failure, the opposite of success is not failure, it really is not moving.
Not moving.
Not taking action.
Yeah.
Because life is this. Life is 10% what happens and 90% how we respond. And how we respond will determine what it is that we receive. Okay? And so life isn't going to be perfect, especially when you're going after something big. Life is going to be crazy. It's going to be all over the place. You're going to have adversities. You're going to have obstacles. You're going to have inconveniences.
Yep.
I had someone tell me one time, they said, "Oh, your life is so convenient." I said, "Oh, time out." I said, "My life is inconvenient."
Oh my goodness.
I said, "I have a very inconvenient life. I just chose to pay a price to have the life that I wanted."
Right.
And for most people, that's a bigger price
Mm-hmm.
than they negotiate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And so life is tricky
Yeah.
in the sense of we are taught to respond one way, but in reality, that keeps us stuck in our way.
Right.
What we have to do is respond accordingly so that way we can get what it is that we want.
Oh, and Robert, I don't want to cut you off here, but that actually is literally perfect. I couldn't have found a way to transition better because we didn't coordinate this. In fact, I didn't even know what we were going to talk about today until the car ride here. But I have a history with martial arts and Krav Maga, right? Mm-hmm. And I just on the way here, I was trying to figure out what we were going to talk about, and in my head, I just hear Coach Chris Williams. You remember Chris Williams? I think you've met him before. He's been by the office. He's one of the owners of Krav Maga Houston, and I just hear him shouting in my face. Like I remember when I did my belt test for Krav Maga, he's just screaming in my face, "Go, go, go, go!" Yeah. Right? The why? It doesn't matter why you're getting hit. You're just getting hit. Go! And they talk a lot in Krav about the Ooda Loop, and it's if you guys have never heard of the Ooda Loop, it's an acronym, and it was invented by the Air Force. It was John Boyd, an Air Force. I think he was a colonel or a captain. I don't want to show disrespect. I don't know his rank, but the Ooda Loop is an acronym that helps you with decision making. And it just stands for observe, orient, decide, act. And it's observe, orient, decide, act. And it's something that Robert and I have never talked about, right? It's, you observe and you see based on your programming. You orient, which is thinking about what to do about it, right? You decide what to do based on your belief systems, your beliefs, and then you act, you go. And when people get hit with a problem, it disorients their Ooda Loop. Like we were talking about, in Krav Maga, how when you have an attacker, you want to hit them and constantly get them on observe and orient, and observe and orient, and observe and orient. That way they never decide and act. You just hit them and hit them and hit them, right? So I think when people face those challenges, when they're a problem, when they run away from their problems, their Ooda Loop has been disoriented. And their plan, even if they had no plan, what they were doing, this is good. Well, we'll put our phones on Do Not Disturb next time. Well, either way, what they were doing, it took them off the path, right? It became a distraction. They weren't expecting it. And because of the lack of confidence in themselves and why they're doing what they're doing, maybe they don't even know what they want, and it prevents them from getting back on track, right? It took them off. It left them on observe and orient, and they get into paralysis by analysis.
Well, if you think about it, what problem has ever been solved by standing still?
None.
None. And the thing is, what problem has ever been solved by not observing or listening?
None.
So how do you know to solve a problem if you don't know what the problem is?
That's right.
And what happens is a lot of people, instead of listening, they're just hearing.
Yeah. Ooh.
Instead of really paying attention, they're more worried about how to respond and defend.
Yeah.
Justify and make excuses. Versus paying attention to what the other person or the situation is.
Mm.
Do you understand that when you talk to people, they're actually expressing to you exactly how this is. When you talk to people, they're expressing how they feel. They're expressing what they're thinking. They're expressing to you exactly what it is that they need. And if you don't listen, if all you're doing is hearing, then you never know how to solve the problem. Mm. When you're in a situation and you see what's really going on and you really observe, I think of it like this. When I'm in a situation, I kind of look at it from a 360-degree angle. Okay, what's going on? Mm-hmm. If I go this way, this is what happens. If I go this way, this is what happens. Right. Which is the right way, which is the convenient way. Right. And guess which way I'm going to go? The right way, even if it's harder. Yeah. And you got to look at every situation that way. You got to be in every conversation that way. Because you think about it, If you talk to someone that has what you want, they actually give you the answer on how to get it.
Yeah.
But too many times we're trying to justify why we're stuck where we're at versus listening to how they're trying to guide us.
That's big, right?
And if you just pay attention to people and how they're trying to help you and humble yourself and just say, okay, and then go do it.
Yeah.
It's amazing the life that you're going to create for yourself. But it all goes back to taking action, because to be able to solve anxiety, take action. To be able to overcome frustration, take action. To be able to get rid of your problems, take action. But if you sit there and think about it, it does nothing for you. It's like sitting water. It starts to stink. And then they call that stinking thinking. Well, that's where it comes from, right? Because it's like standing water. It starts to grow algae, mold, stinking. And they go, what the hell's that? It's you!
That's right.
Because you never moved. Okay? You got to run. You got to go. Have you ever noticed that the most moving waters is the most precious waters? Okay? Coming back from Hawaii, I sat there for a while, and I just sat there because I'm not the kind of guy that goes and dips myself in the ocean.
Yeah.
There's something
you
about
wear a Speedo?
I just don't like. No, John, I'm not going to wear a Speedo. Okay. But I sit there and I like to look at the oceans. I like to see the currents. I like to see the waves, how they're moving, kind of see where the sandbars are at, and understand the currents. And the reason why, because that's the flow. When you go against the flow, how hard is it to get to what you want? But when you go with the flow, how easy is it to be able to get to your destination?
So much easier.
But the thing is, when you don't listen to other people that are trying to help you get there, it's like trying to go upstream and against the current with no paddle.
Yeah.
When you listen to the people that are trying to help you, guess what? You'll get to your destination a lot faster.
That's right.
And you got to get rid of that old programming. You got to get rid of that old thinking, because you're not going to get to what you want, okay, thinking how you have. Because if you were, you would have already gone there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So change is inevitable. Okay? Action, inevitable. All right? And more than anything, taking advice is inevitable.
Yeah, but growth is optional. And I think that's how we're going to wrap out today. That says we're going to wrap out, right? We should wrap out right now. That's how we're going to wrap up today. That's the coffee, getting me all excited and whatnot. But hey, we're gonna close things out. And hey, listen, thanks for plugging in to Unleash Your Potential. We want to help you guys level up and get to where you want to go. Robert and I are going to be recording, almost every week. So don't forget to check us out on Instagram. I'm going to put the handle right here. Okay, cool. That was a good pause. And also check us out on YouTube for the full episode here. And we will catch up with you guys as soon as we release the next episode. All right, take care, everybody.